In the bottom left-hand side, our red Zerg player. This is Dark. Taking on the blue Terran in the upper right-hand corner of our map. Got ourselves a Cure. And Dark Cure is almost always a very fun series as of late. So very excited to see what these two have in store for us today. I feel like Cure has been playing some absolutely excellent StarCraft. Dark has really been pretty sick as well. Yeah, let's see what goes down in a bit of Terran versus Zerg action. So, this is round 2. The winner of this, I believe, should play Bjorn unless Bjorn gets upset by Silky. So, we have a really, just like I mentioned kind of at the start, a very good kind of set of matches to follow through today in the Kung Fu Cup. And that's why I was particularly interested in this section, because it's just good match after good match, and then we can pretty much just follow it through all the way until the day is done. That's my plan, at the very least. As our refinery comes up, a couple drones coming in. How can this picture look more clean than the clean feed? Well, you see, guys, what happens is the clean feed actually isn't very clean. That was more of a fuzzy feed, wasn't it? Yeah. Anyways, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't realize, because I've been using a different account for ESL, I didn't realize that my overlays changed automatically. Like, they save per account instead of per they save per account instead of per like PC, so that's really nice, because I thought I'd forgotten to change my UI back today, but I had not. So there's a little bit of StarCraft fact for you that has nothing to do with really StarCraft at all, but now you know, just in case you play on 2 accounts and you want to use 2 different observer UIs on each one, you don't have to swap when you swap the accounts around. How many times are we going to see Dark versus Cure? You know, I was actually thinking this the other day. I was like, how often are we seeing like some of these matches nowadays? And I thought of it specifically because I was writing out like my YouTube list, like my list of matches that I've casted over the last little while, and what matches I'm going to upload to YouTube. And I was writing this list down. I was like, oh my god, some of these games just keep on repeating. It's like Max Pax versus Dark, Hero versus Dark. Hero versus Dark, Dark versus Max Pax versus Dark. It's like, how many times can I upload these games? Well, obviously they're all different games, they're all different series played in different events on different days. We've once again just had a really good streak of StarCraft. I have about 3 weeks of YouTube content lined up, never mind whatever we cast over the next couple of weeks. Which is just really nice, because obviously next couple of weeks is still ESL, so we're not casting too much. How's that Overlord? Moving around up on the top side. And Reaper sitting out in the center. So Reaper in the center, Marine comes over. Overlord going to take a little bit of a nibble as well. Being put some damage out. Reaper taking some shots. Feelings coming over, and the Reaper still taking a bit of a blast. Gets a grenade down to pop the Queens around. Marine on the top side of this base, just having a wander along the edges, and a couple of Hellions popping out from Cure. 3CC, obviously Starport looks like it's going to go onto the tech lab, so potentially a Banshee opening. Unless we maybe see the rare opportunity to go into a Raven or so. That is something which you do sometimes see, but on this time around it is just going to be that Banshee. So Banshee to start us off. And the Reaper and a couple of Hellions just continue to make their way out down to the south-hand side. So in they go. Looking to run into the mineral line here, try and get some damage dealt. Shots going off. Going to get a couple drones immediately, and now going to go after some extras. 4 workers going down. Just going to make it 5. A couple Lings still chasing the Hellion. Just about getting out of there for the moment. And the Reaper hopping down to the low ground. Should be able to grenade as necessary to get some extra damage done if they feel the need to. This does go down though, but 5 drones is still not a bad start. Definitely a decent way to get things underway. We've got 4 Hellions, couple of Banshees still moving around. Cloak is also coming up here, so again, that Cloak up and online. And the Queens continue to produce as well from Dark, so just continue to bring that up for the moment. Drones just mining away. And yeah, 2 more barracks coming down the main base as well, so just bringing all of this up, getting all of that going. Impact Cloak all being added on for the moment still. Banshee gonna nip away at a little bit of creep spread. A few queens over on the right side, just moving across a little bit, trying to see a bit of what they can get up to, nothing too crazy. Marines continuing to settle down over on the edge of the base. That is going to be our Banshee also coming back around to the bottom side. Both of them together, we'll try and find some more damage here early in this game. Cure looking to keep on chipping away at that dark economy. The further of, more of that economy you can get rid of, the better off you're going to be feeling here, the better you're going to get things going for yourself in the future. So it's obviously a major part of the plan here from Cure to really be very active. Another hatch going down in the main base. We actually have the lair about to finish up here. Obviously Dark, not with a lot of anything right now, just now starting melee upgrades. We'll soon be starting baneling speed. Will be maybe a little bit of a timing where Cure can come across with a 1-1 upgrade lead and really get a lot done. So eyes on that, definitely feels like there's an opportunity there for Cure to utilize a bit further down the line as the game continues. We'll see if he does decide to do such a thing or not. We'll see. For now, the Banshee didn't find anything extra. They just back away. They're kind of done for the moment and just going to be seeing, just hanging out and waiting around. As that extra ling's coming up. Baneling speed, melee upgrades, all continuing to produce for the moment. As we get ourselves just one of the active creep tumors out toward the front. Banshees come back around, getting rid of a couple more creep tumors. The changeling as well. I mean, kind of, considering the Hellion count is low, it's impressive how much map control we've got just because of the Banshees. The Hellions have not even really made much of an attempt to make their way to the other side here. Yes, we lost 2 initially, but, the other 4, I mean, it's not like we went up to like 8 Hellions total or 10 Hellions total, which is not uncommon. And just leaving those other 4 at home, really valuing their ability to just defend counterattacks while the Banshees do a lot of the map controlling. Now, the creep spread's still pretty good. Dark has at least 1 or 2 creep tumors of depth in front of every base in every direction, which means that he's going to be pretty safe when an attack comes his way, like this one, because there's not really any good position Cure can move on into. As our Marines and our tanks come forward, a couple of these creep tumors already coming down. Thanks for siege. Hellions and Marines all joined together and seeing our Hellions morphing into Hellbats. Rest of the Marines coming across, little scan coming through, gonna get rid of some of this creep spread. More Lings dropping down again. Overlord will also get picked off here. Supply block for Dark. It's not super pretty. Just gonna have those tanks continue to fire. A few Banelings going down. Counterattack is not gonna do much either, so Dark now needs to actually find a way to clean this up rather than counterattacking. He, in theory, should have way more than Cure over here. As you saw, Cure had units back at home defending. Dark just can't find a way in. He's bleeding off units. This hatchery's taking a ton of damage. And what a concise attack from Cure, as he is pretty much about to kill this base. Here we go. Dark's going to roll forward now, but the tanks just put in work against those Banelings, and they do not succeed in any way, shape, or form. As our Marines pull back out the right-hand side, we get rid of a little bit more creep spread. Marines on this side again defending. Dark cannot find anything on the counters. Cure advancing toward a 4th base as we go, and man, he is doing a very good job this far. Hasn't killed this base yet, but it feels like it's only really a matter of time. Dark has to keep committing units in to keep it alive, and the more aggressively he has to commit units in to keep it alive, the more damage you get out of this as Cure, the more you're making out of it. So even if the base doesn't die, you're getting more and more value from having this base on low HP. These few Banelings, again, just going to struggle to do much, and the extra Marines showing up now might, in fact, make the difference. I really believe this base is somewhat, absolutely in trouble. Marines on the left side also happening. We've also got the counterattack to deal with, so lots going on all of a sudden. Dark is going to defend back at home. Cure is going to defend back at home. Dark is going to push back in the upper left, and he still holds the base Dark to the bottom right, but look at the supplies. Cure is starting to get that lead really well established, and that is just Dark bleeding out over time. And that bleed out is, like I say, heavily affecting him here. Hydras and Queen moving forward. Medevac then shot down. Finally enough to actually just get rid of the Marine count here and to get rid of the threat that has been on this base forever. Well, you know what? Impressed that Dark kept the base alive, but boy, did it cost you a lot. This was not cheap. This was not easy. Marines pressing forward. Another tank sieging up. A lot of creep spread getting picked away at now. Our hatchery on the left side will also get knocked down as our Lings and our Banes will consider a chance to jump onto these Marines. A couple more units getting picked through there for the moment. Getting a little bit more of this creep spread cleaned out once again. More of these Marines still thinking about pressing further forward. As we'll see, our Lings still getting chipped at. Couple Vipers coming up, 2 melee upgrades also coming into play right now. Getting all of this going. A few Banelings from the left-hand side. I mean, just this position of Kyo off creep. Obviously, Banes have to take a long time to get here. And Kyo takes a pretty good fight. Finally evacuates with the Marines after the tanks have done as much as they possibly could. And Kyo is just playing all over the place. He's playing very, very well. Dark just can't, like, Kyo just got the slightest of edges initially, and then the positions he took from there has been perfect. And he was really, again, I think one of the main things, just being on top of the potential counterattacks that Dark had. Because if those counterattacks start doing damage, Kyo does not do anywhere near as well on the other side of the map, right? Because he has to spend so much time defending the counterattack and so on. It really has just been that every part of the game was so solid from Kyo. That's led to the other parts of the game being so successful. And obviously, as we stand here and trade now, Kyo just, you know, continues to work his way through these armies. Dark just cannot get enough grip on any of these fights to really run through and get away with any of this. Marines knocking down the hatch. Our Ling's coming to wrap around. Marine's going to load up. A couple Banes coming in. Marines and our medevacs will be thinking about maybe diving the main here. Obviously just trying to get some more damage done. Queen's intercept and we'll push this back around the other side. Medevac's back into that bottom corner then, just seeing our Medevac's now loading up. Gonna go back over to the top. Marines, Medevacs, well, they're just cruising over the right-hand side. We will see our Ling Hydra just going to bust down a set of rocks over here. So one set of rocks going down, another now taking damage. Marine and Marauder still coming through. Our Marines over on the left. I'm just going to come straight on through. This hatchery will go down. I mean, again, Kyo just has the ability to kind of be a step ahead in terms of, you know, being the dictator in terms of what happens in this game. He's been very active throughout the game, and this time he only lifts the Marines. He leaves the Marauders, but he lost the full medevac to the Spore Crawler. Well, this was actually a pretty big loss. You know, while you got a lot of drones and everything, he lost a fair few units here, so that turned out to be quite expensive. Medevac's loading up again, back over to the right-hand side. Another CC up to the top, getting to that 12 o'clock, that northern position. A couple more missile turrets coming down, a few more ghosts coming up, cloaking on the way, plus one vehicle plating coming through. Well, that's going to be firing away. Marines continue to fight. Gonna see a lot of those units going down at the moment. He's getting in, a couple of these mules taking some big shots there, tanks and some shots off. Older Command is going to land back down. SCVs repair up the base to the top side as well. I mean, the game goes on. I think Kyo at some point obviously gave up a little bit too much, lost a little bit more supply than he was really meant to. And a lot of the creep spread is still around. While some of the positions have been held really well by Kyo, Dark has great creep up through the middle of the map, so he really controls a lot of the map still as well. So that's also got to be something of a factor. There's a couple of Vipers move around the center. Lingbane joining up. Our Hydras will be coming through and knocking down an initial missile turret, so taking that out of the way immediately. Just a couple of Changelings continue to wander around and just have our army of Dark still down in the bottom right. Viking firing, Overseer taking some shots. Bio just pulling away. The Lings taking a lot of hits there as well. We're just going to see a few Hellbats coming down this ramp. And as Lings try and run in once again, just going to let the Blue Flame Hellbats put some work forward. Dark losing a lot. He gets 12 SCVs, but his supply plummeted going into this battle. That is just Kua taking a good fight. Defensive position obviously goes a long way. There is the issue of that Dark can afford to trade like this when he's on 86 workers and just endless bases. A little drop down here, denying one upcoming base is nice and all, but there's still a lot of work to be done, quite frankly. There is still a lot to go. If you really want to keep on shutting this all down, is try and get another hatchery into that bottom right-hand corner. Warrior's going to come over, going to grab a drone. Ling Bane's still continuing up. Again, Marine's getting surrounded just a little bit there, getting pushed back and around. Obviously, Dark is at least controlling these drops, not letting them do too severe damage at this point. Yes, I mean, good to see Dark get a 7 back into this. I love this nuke. Just the Ghost in a very interesting position as well. Very hard to find the Ghost, at least. Even if you spot the nuke, just shutting down the Ghost is unlikely to happen. Nuke goes down. Again, no big connection on workers or anything, but just being very annoying for the moment. He's actually not sieged up right now. This is going to be a good moment for Dark to actually take a jump onto this arm, and he does get that jump off. Tanks got sieged in the end, but Blind Clouds will take some of these tanks out of the battle pretty much immediately. Banelings and Hunters continue to roll forward. Tanks still taking shots too. Can Kua hold on? I mean, Dark also again took a lot of damage on the tail end of this, so a lot of hits for him. Both players really ended up with a lot of damage taken on that one. Kua and Dark both dipping in supply. Kua doesn't have the bank to immediately rebuild. That's one of the big differences, but then again, that's not, you know, oftentimes always the case anyway. You know, Terran players usually do rely on the consistent income rather than having that massive bank set up to rebuild instantly, because Terran doesn't just resupply instantly anyway most of the time. Like, up to a certain amount, sure, but obviously the way, you know, you can't just bank lava as a Terran player and build everything all at once. So you can rely a bit more on just the income stream rather than having that bank built up. That's, you know, now Kira is maxed out, and the time it took me to explain that, he got to max, so it's not like he wasn't going to get maxed out again. It was just, he had to wait the appropriate amount of time for it to really come back into play. The push continues on this left-hand side. Kua coming through, a couple Lings, Banes continuing to drop down dead. Tanks are sieging, Liberators setting up. We're going to see a big Ling Bane Hydra counterattack going straight up the right-hand side. Lings running into this base. Planetary Fortress getting surrounded. Banelings look to want to jump on top of a lot of this as well. Now a few of those Banes running straight in towards the siege tanks, and the tanks continue to go down too. Kua holding on decently. 11 SCVs, 12 SCVs going down. Is that going to stop being too much? It's Dark that just doesn't have an answer to this army. 131 to 75 army supply. The numbers say Kua. In fact, the numbers scream Kua right now. And Dark doesn't have anything on the other side anymore, so his attacking is done. And he does not have a way to stop Kua punching through here. And Kua is going to take game number 1 in the end. Top left-hand side. Our Red Zerg down a game. It is Dark from Dragon Kaiser Gaming. Didn't make the cut to stay on Dragon Kaiser Gaming. Kua, Blue Terran bottom right. And looking so good lately. His matchups have been great. I've been really impressed by his TVP especially. But I think his DVZ obviously has shown here, like, is also very good. Just turns out Kua in general is really freaking good right now. Who would have thought? I mean, there was a point where Kua was the online king, and I say the online king kind of jokingly, but like that's what a lot of us really thought of him as. He had that streak where online he was just absolutely unbeatable. And it kind of feels like we're getting back to that point. He's also having decent results, not online too, so yeah, very fun to see him being an absolute top tier contender here in Korea. Hatchery on the way up from Dark. Barracks on the way from Kua. A lot of establishment just being made for the moment. As our SCVs are popping out of this command center. Hatchery coming down on the natural. Everything just moving through for now. Nice of me to cast. Well, I cast because you guys like to watch. Appreciate you tuning in today. Thanks for dropping by the channel and supporting some Wardy StarCraft. Wardy casting. I appreciate it. Obviously, you guys gotta cast what we can during these ESL seasons. Cause there's a lot of days I'm working ESL, and a lot of days just ESL is on in general. So just trying to make the absolute most of when there is stuff to cast during the ESL and when my days are off. So, yeah. If you are enjoying, I'll take the very small amount of time here just to say, obviously, do consider subscribing and stuff. We do struggle a lot with keeping the sub count up with when ESL is on, so if you have a Prime sub to spare, this is, a really great time to use it. If you want to support and get access to our replay packs, etc. So check that out. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to harp on about it. I'm kind of just not looking at the sub count much this week. And next week, probably. Or for the rest of the month. I'm just gonna keep it in the corner. It's there, but I'm not going to look at it too much, because it's very easy to get hung up on it, even though it's obviously just ESL week, so it's always going to drop off. I always knew it was going to drop off. It doesn't make it any easier to look at, though. I do have a Reaper coming in. A couple of things to fight against that Reaper, so dealing some decent damage for a little bit. Popping some damage out and about. Yeah, Command Center morphing in. Let's get that all set up as we do see our few Zerglings making their way all the way out and down to this bottom side. So they're just going to keep on journeying over. Dark wanting to try and sneak by and make something happen here. Obviously, there's no Reaper opening. Oh, sorry, we killed the Reaper opening. So because we killed the Reaper opening, now there's no Reaper. We obviously are in a position where we can take the Lings across the map and have a quick peek at what's going on. Although the Hellions will come over and get rid of these couple of Lings. So the couple get away. So drone dies, we lose the Reaper. And yeah. Sorry, I didn't quite catch the Reaper dying because I was reading chat and then I was actually checking just a little bit of scheduling for something. So I apologize. That actually caught me off guard. I was like, wait, the Reaper's dead. My apologies, guys. Couple of Hellions into the main base and a couple of Hellions across the map are still working around and seeing what they can maybe do. Obviously, we join up a couple more. Kieran never went to a super high Hellion count last time around. He stuck at, what, he had 4 eventually. Obviously, he would have had 6, but he lost 2, so 6 isn't a lot to build. You can build less, but a lot of builds will never build less because why the heck would you? But it is something worth mentioning, I would say, as drones keep on mining. Things moving around a bit. Stimpack coming up. And yo, Ananthrax, thank you so much for the 30-month resub on Tier 3 as well, going above and beyond. We support you, Wardy. You're the real SCT champ. Thank you so much for the insane support and all the rest. Don't worry, you guys saw the Reaper die. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you guys are watching. I'm using someone else's camera, so they're probably smart enough to have noticed the Reaper dying. I was just, like I say, not quite looking at the screen at that moment, and well, I'll own up to it. I was not paying the attention that should have been paid. As drone again. 10 workers going down. The Hellions get through for 11 in the end. Yes, that is all the Hellions dead. Well, 4 of the Hellions dead, and that's actually all you build. Again, just very low Hellion count. Second game in a row. He gets 11 drones. Because it's a low Hellion count, the Barracks Bio follow-up is a little bit faster. And this might kill Dark. Like, he's just got so many drones that a Marine Medivac Stim attack right now might be a lot more deadly than he'd ever wanted to actually be. So, I really feel like this is actually going to be, trouble time in the next few moments. Things coming back out over to the 3rd base location. Just going to jump on in here and grab a couple of these SCVs. Yo, Panda Bandit, thank you so much for the 17-month resub. Welcome back. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for subscribing today. 1-1 upgrades, combat shield also coming through. Our Lings want to go diving into this mineral line. A couple of Marines are going to get held safely. I thought the SCVs were kind of purposely blocking for the Marines, but then they moved out the way, so then I kind of doubt that was as cool of a play as I maybe initially thought it was about to be. That's all good, though. We still have Medivacs onto the map, and I still feel like that early damage Dog took is going to lead him into a rough position sometime soon. You can see no upgrades from him. Melee and Carapace just starting. Bailing speed just starting. So for the next little while, none of these upgrades that usually help you to survive. Trying to drop into the main base, but the Lings will force the Medivacs to lift up and back away again. means he's going to jump through, and that's going to be another Overlord kill. I mean, activity here from Kira has been great. He's now a supply block Dark on the back of this. Again, just staying active, but in a very different way to last game. Last game, he had that one big push that really set up and was stabilizing a really good position for a long time. This game, it's very different. Just dropping here, dropping there, little groups of units compared to the larger single push. So a different approach from Kira, as he does have some time still before Baneling speed is done. He grabs 3 of these 6 Banelings as he kites away and target fires them down one by one. So making the absolute most of that, trading out well still. I gotta say, I'm still pretty happy about how Kira is just approaching this whole thing. I would say he's doing pretty good for himself so far as our 2 medevacs of Marines make their way back over into the middle. The Lings just wandering. Other Lings coming around too, and just, you know, Infestation Pit, melee upgrades, all of that still building. We see 12 Banelings producing as well. There's a lot of Banes on the way out as our Marine Stim on forward is going to grab a couple of these Group Tumors already. There's a drone on the way down to become a hatchery. That's going to quickly decide that that's not going to happen, so it starts to back away from that possibility. Lings, again, surrounding these Marines, which lift back up into the medevacs and escape back down to the south side of the map. Getting away for the moment. T2 upgrades, drilling claws, all of that still just on its way through, and seeing a few SCVs, medevacs, Marines producing on in as well. And just seeing that drilling claws up. Again, T2 upgrades are about halfway through for the moment in that hatchery. Still just settling on into position, another hatch down the bottom left-hand side. And our CC just going to get into position on the far right as well. Well, game does take a few moments to chill. I mean, again, look at resources lost, units lost this game. It's been great for the Terran. It's been very effective. Obviously, a lot of those drones went down early as well. It had a big impact on the economy of Dark. Water Mine's now setting up in some of these chokier positions, and he starts to work through the group spread, which is very good again. It's one thing that was definitely apparent on Ancient System, that Dark had not been slacking when it came to group spread, because he had it all over the map. On Ancient, I would say it's very similar here on Grezvan. It's not just in front of the bases, it's really through the center. That Widow Mine! 21 kills, absolutely disgusting connection there out of Cure. That was huge. That was absolutely massive as extra Marines unloading to the 12 o'clock. Well, they'll get ready to come in from the top side. We still got Q splitting his army and working down the bottom. That's really been a great core concept of just what Q has been doing in general lately. This idea of just attacking from multiple sides of the map all the time, and it's not unheard of in, you know, Terran matchups, but as of late it really feels like Q has excelled at this style of play, both in TVZ and TVP. Right now, this 2-2 upgrade lead is allowing Q to stand and fight for a very long time against the Lings with the Marines. And I wouldn't say that was a mistake at all. That trade was going very well for him. It was just starting to go a bit better for the Zerg at the tail end just because there was not enough Marines anymore, but that's why Q chose to lift up and get out of there. And again, I just gotta say that so far, Q is playing an absolutely fantastic game. Like, he's, again, just looking so solid in this matchup and just in general across the board. Playing really, really sick. Really, really sick. Just seeing Bioforce unloading back again onto the bottom left side. Bio joining up in the center. Just seeing +3 melee coming up. 3-3 upgrades on the engineering base coming through. Our Ghost Academy also getting started. And more factories as we begin prepping for a much later game kind of play, a much later game transition coming through over the next little while. Some burrowed Banelings! Hate it when they don't explode the burrowed Banelings. You get all excited, you're like, oh my god! It just, nothing happens. It's like such a, so annoying. I'm sure Dark's very frustrated. He also didn't kill a whole chunk of this army. Never mind the commentator. As, oh my god, the Widow Mines again continue to just do very well. Dark cannot get the Lings split up fast enough once those mines start going off, so that is continuing to be a problem for him. His bio units will drop down once again, just off the edge, and wait for their chance to do something. A little bit of bio coming in from the top side. In we go. Widowmine's going to get destroyed, no? Oh, massive fungal on the south side. Dark has an infestor. He refungals. Massive turning point here. I mean, on the top, I think those Widowmines did set up to do very well, but I'm glad we caught that fungal, because that was kind of out of nowhere. A couple of infestors coming to the field, and suddenly Dark is doing much better for himself. What an amazing couple of moments. Winning that fight on the bottom side did so much for him, and now you sit at, what, 190 to 160 supply? Bonkers. Alright, couple of drones still coming through. A couple of Widowmine shots still firing as well. We have Lings, Infestors, Banelings working their way around to the top side as Dark will look to finally clean up those mines. The fact they went off a second time is always a little bit frustrating. You don't really want that to ever happen as a Zerg, but in this case it was just a little bit too far gone. Our Marines, our Changelings, sorry, just working their way across the map as well. Dog trying to pick up any bits of additional information that he might be able to find. He is just working through for that. You see those medevacs? Lifting some Marauders up, dropping them back down. Bit of up and down for moments. Ling's going to run forward again. This Widowmine's going to blow up a bunch of them. Man, Widowmines have been Hewer's best friend in this match. As Dark, I mean, he definitely has had some better moments as well. And that was a great run by. He takes down a whole chunk of SCVs. So suddenly you've got to say that Dark she has a good couple of moments. And, you know, once again, like I say, it's not been all about Hewer this time around. Dark's definitely found moments to fight back and to do some damage in return. The Widowmines have been really terrible, right? Like, the Widowmines have really ruined the day for Dark in a big way. Like, they've really ruined it for him. But if it, you know, otherwise, I'd say that Dark would actually be in a much better spot. And in fact, he maybe still is in a pretty decent spot. Yes, eventually you've got to figure out how you're going to fight this, how you're going to deal with this, but we'll see. Ling Bane sets up middle of the map still. Infestors back to the center too. We do have our Ultralisk also coming up. Chitinous Plating is building too. And Team War Spy is also producing for the moment, as we do have Siege Tanks and Liberator and Ghosts. All the later game tech coming in from Hewer. Obviously, that's why the Spires are coming up from Dark. You eventually want a transition that likely involves the chance to go in toward Broodlords here. So we just begin prepping for that over these next couple of moments. Pushing up that right side again. Gonna knock down a few of those Changelings straight away. Let's take those out of the equation. Still some Infestors and Lings running down through the center. Actually, those Lings going to get a grab on these couple of Siege Tanks. Just going to knock those down. Liberator sieging up. A couple more tanks getting siege. Banelings and Lings going to come running through here. And our Ghosts going to get crashed into. A lot of Ghosts going down immediately. Now the rest of these Banes continue through. And again, going to be seeing Hellcats having to back away from this. Tanks also taking some damage. Lings running through into the natural expansion towards the main base even. Hellbats are going to work their way through that hatchery. Lings continue onto the Ghost Academy. A couple more Lings onto the refinery too. Those Lings still taking a little bit of a beating. 4 more Ultras are coming out. And just seeing ourselves with Q having taken a lot of damage, and now he's got to begin that slow rebuild process. But his army supply is still good. The difficulty for Dark is going to be that 101 drones is fantastic for building up the bank. It's not so hot when it comes to everything else. Well, that was a great catch as well. We just killed off a whole chunk of SCVs. Thank you very much. Those fungals were beautiful from the low ground and just punishing Q for this forward base. Obviously, that kind of centralized position is something that usually the Terran takes advantage of, the kind of reach across into the mineral line. It's a Terran thing, but this time it was a Zerg power-up as we use it to knock down that whole mineral line. Like I say, my issue still stands as the army supply from Dog. It ain't getting any bigger than this unless he starts sacrificing drones. And that might be the case at one point, but until that happens, I'm terrified that Q is going to build up a massive army and just go. And yes, Dog might have an instant rebuild, but you're going to have to make sure that 2 smaller armies are enough to overwhelm in the end, as we do see Bane's Ultras continue to crash on forward. In we go. Fungal growths are beautiful again, though. The problem is still going to be just, do we have enough of a follow-up here from Dark? We got this Ultra coming through, but it's not going to be able to survive, even with the Infestor fungaling and cancelling the snipes. 9 more Ultras, 28 more Lings. I'm not convinced still, honestly, by this. I just don't feel like these armies are ever large enough. I mean, that felt like a great fight. Fungals coated the army of the Terran player. They were wearing that sticky green outfit all day. And it just didn't matter. It just didn't matter. All the changelings are going to get popped down. Scan obviously coming out to aid with that as the Liberator sieges up overhead. A couple of these Banes trying to figure out what they're going to do. Ultras make their way from the high ground through to the low ground as well. So away they go, off to the other side of the map. We take a few moments. Dark is still maxed out. He is rebuilding some of the bank he's just spent setting up, and it looks like he's ready to go once again here. Fast is going to pop out. He gets EMP'd immediately as he does go chasing, goes down to the right side, but this is a horrible fight for Dark. He's losing so much, and I really feel like he's not gaining anything. As we cancelled up one of the snipes there, as the Ghost kind of got a little bit caught. But yeah, I mean, just again, Dark losing so much. And he is starting to break through, Kyo, do not get me wrong. It's just dangerous, and it's always hard to say, because it's kind of a fine line, finer than you might expect of, oh, the Zerg's done enough to just break through and keep on breaking through, and the Zerg just gave up too much, and the Terran's going to counterattack and kill the man, right? Like, it is a very difficult line to walk. It's a very difficult rope to balance on, and I think that's definitely a major issue here, as Zerglings of Dark are going to go rotate back up to the top side yet again, and perhaps ready themselves for a launch into the upper right-hand side. So this base over here absolutely looking a little bit exposed for the moment. Samuel's just sitting mining away. The couple of Ultras grabbing some transfusions at the moment as well. Couple of Thors, couple of missile turrets, all that coming out. We even got a couple of Hellbats to go along with everything else here, so bring those into play as well. And away we go, a little scan ahead, seeing our Lings and our Ultras. Getting caught up in that, +1 missiles, Great Spire, all still building in here. Our Banelings are still producing too. Just bringing all of this up right now. As our bio army continues to settle down, Lings and Ultras will again go around the bottom side of the map into this mineral line where they're just going to go after a whole chunk of SCVs. 10 workers already going down. Now just a scan there to, again, keep an eye on things and watch as everything else departs. Bioforce Secure still up the right. And just figuring out where we can get to. The Bio takes a step forward. We're going to immediately knock down some of this creep spread. So creep already being somewhat annihilated in the center. Obviously the creep is all over the middle of the map, and worth taking a moment, just pause and think about where we are, because we are both players maxed out for the first time in a while. Dark still has the ridiculous drone count, and I really do feel like at this stage you need to, at least trade some of these into static defense or just get rid of them. Because with that amount of drones, you're just leaving yourself exposed to always having such a small army. And again, yeah, maybe losing 20 workers and, building up 20 more army supplies doesn't make a massive difference in fights, but, I mean, you're at the point where Kira is working with, 50% more than you. In army supply alone, when the Zerg is already playing what is generally a less efficient army supply composition, I mean, it's just crazy, right? Alpha Star Stux, thank you so much for the 27-month resub on the Prime. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Our army of Kira moves to the top side of the map. As the Liberator sieging up, Bio going to start running down. The Spine Crawler already getting hit. Fungal Growths dropping towards some of these units. Broodlords are firing. The Marauders and Hellbats do have to kite away. More Fungals continue to drop into place. Banelings are going to come rolling up. Taking out a few Ghosts. Still using the Broods. I mean, the Broods are helping a lot. That is why Dark slowed down and stopped pressuring Kira, because he had the Broods to help himself out. And to be fair, Kira's army wasn't immediately amazing to deal with Broodlords. Dark very good at controlling these later game armies as well. Another Fungal Growth drops into place. Army getting covered. The Broodlings again just dropping down and chasing that kind of Marine Hellbat tank Thor Force back that little bit. Just keeping that pressure up. Keeping that army pushed away here. Some snipes trying to come down. Broodlords taking some damage as this advance forward happens. But yeah, I think this is going to be plentiful as Dark is going to turn Kira away, and as he did lose a few drones, a bit more army supply on the map for him, as mentioned, and I think I'm kind of happy about that. Broodlings dropping down from the skies above. Tanks are going to get absolutely swarmed here. The Banelings want to make their way in towards these Hellbats, Marines, and all the rest of it. Ghost's gonna have to go on the run as well. Tank fire is still going down as that Banelings keep on chasing. The rest of these Banes coming through. Planetary Fortress top side gets knocked down as well. We do aim for this base. A couple tanks surviving. Cure is really strapped for cash. He has less than 100 minerals. He's spending every ounce of mineral income he has. He's just trying to squeeze back up to an army again as Dark is still control. And I think that's the issue. Dark just has so many bases, so much mining still that eventually this is just impossible for Cure to truly stop from just overtaking the game. We still have Dark heading down south a little bit. Broodlord's ready to fight again. The roll of Libs getting siege, the fungal growth coming down. We do get a snipe off on a Broodlord. Brood setting back up to the top side, and this army of Cure, very Thor heavy, is very good against the Broods. Obviously, positioning is important, and against those Thors, a lot of the time that Zerg is looking for those neural parasites as well. So you've got to respect that quite a lot as Cure too, and be very cautious and careful about where you are moving that army at any point in time. It's in 24 minutes DP on Grezvan, and well, game 1 was awesome. Game 2 is really living up to the hype a bit as well, and this just turned out to be a great series. Cure and Dark delivering some awesome StarCraft, and I still feel this one is likely headed to game 3, but one explosive fight going the wrong way could mean the end of Dark's army, and Cure does have a bit of money banked up himself now this time, so rebuilding is not an issue for him, and he's actually starting to split his army, which is very powerful against the lack of mobility on those Broodlords. So that's something else we've got to consider. There's our Hellbats and our Thors coming down over here, just cleaning up a bunch of those drones, and well, a couple snipes going through. Ling Bane gonna come rolling forward, looking to aim for these Thors. Ghosts are spreading out, doing everything that we can do as the Banelings just crash on in, and the Ghosts getting absolutely kind of annihilated, honestly. I mean, Dark losing a lot of supply, but I feel like Q is losing a lot more expensive supply. Like, when the Terran is dropping as much supply of the Zerg in these sort of scenarios, it always feels a bit rough. We do have this little push on the bottom. I actually think Ling reinforcements might do very well against that. Maybe not against the Hellbats, but if you wrap around the Thors, for example, could do great for you. The last couple of Broodlords here are in trouble. They are abandoned. Yeah, there's the Lings coming in. They are just going to wrap around. We're even going to neural parasite one of these Thors just to help out and just to guarantee it's as efficient as possible. Efficiency is on the mind of players. That we do see Dark 60k resources lost to the 50k. It's a massive difference, and obviously does favor Cure, as it's meant to, right? The Terran player is meant to have that efficiency in their favor. The rebuild here from Cure, more Hellbats, tanks, Libs. Not building more Thors because he's kind of dealt with the Broodlord threat. I think he rightfully, you know, analyzes that Dark will not be able to afford a rebuild back into Broodlords again. So noticing that and, you know, playing around that, I think very smart. Cure just, you know, making, again, in my eyes, a lot of the right moves in that regard. Again, a nice neural parasite, just tanking some of the damage, and even using the Thor to really deal some of the damage as well goes a long way. I was just going to say, don't let these Banelings end up crash into that Thor at the end. Can the Ultra get it? Yes, the Thor does go down, so nice to get that higher supply costing unit. As we have even more Ultras showing up, and it's just a case of at some stage these Ultras become very good because there's just not quite enough from the Terran to really ever push them back, and they're just that little too good to deal with low amounts of units. More Ultras. Keep on moving through, and it does feel as though Cure is truly broken down at this stage. He is going to turn this around. He has one more snipe to keep himself alive. But yeah, I think it's fair, really fair to say that this is looking to be a Dark game 2, which means we're heading to a third map of the series, and oh, we're down for that. A couple Burrowed Banelings could be amazing if we just walked a little bit over that direction, right? We don't have to go far, just a teeny tiny bit. Dark is, you know, not on the drone count he once was, and as his bank is fully spent out, he's also just building money as he earns it. Taking that forward base is actually a pretty big deal, and actually not having anything to really support these Marines is bad. Medevacs do evacuate them. Ultras were about to have an absolute feast on Marine body parts. More mules drop into play. We do see Infestors and Lings Continuing out, Libs and tanks building from Cure. Can't believe Terran can win this. Well, you should believe that, because this is literally how you win games with TVZ as well, by defending well enough. I mean, and trading well enough, right? I mean, you've traded 10,000 resources lost better. But here it's really a question of mining out the top side base and then not letting Dark mine too much of the bottom. That would be the tipping point of this game. That really isn't that weird, because that's literally how the matchup works, right? The Terran player takes damage, the Zerg tries to break them. It's not like this is some uber teched up army of the Zerg, it's Ling Ultra with a few Hephaestus. It's not really meant to win the kind of bigger fights in efficient manners. Obviously just brute forcing his way through here. Does Dark have enough to truly keep going? The Fungals are helping a lot, really allowing these Ultras to make the most of this engage. We have a lot of Banes still on the follow-up. Crashing into some SCVs, I kind of feel like that was unnecessary because, well, just because we have so little army, would like to see the Banes maybe try to hit something else, but well, now Kira goes down to only 17 workers left. I just thought those SCVs were going to die anyway, so maybe we could have kept the Banes alive. It's just storming forward at this point. Do we have enough to even stop Zerglings? The last Blue Flame Hellbat just died. There's a little bit of bio though, and I think that might be Dark misjudging this. With the Lings going forward a bit too soon, I think he has absolutely misjudged this. He's building Corrupt. Is he going to try and get some more Broodlords out? Very possible. Liberated Sieges, tanks continue to set up around the top side. We have ourselves, like I say, some Corruptors coming through. We'll see what they do. A few Broodlords right now could be very scary if we get set up onto that. Obviously, by playing Broodlords, you're going to slow it down a little bit again. Dark has the drone count to keep on mining to rebuild a little bit, as Q will also get this topside base mining. How about finishing another still on the way? Corruptors finishing shortly as well. And 5 Broodlords now being brought up here as on top of everything else. You think the Broodlords actually just have no proper answers to them right now. There are no ghosts on the map. There is no Thors. The two things that really usually deal with Broodlords just don't exist. So even if it's not a high Broodlord count, as the scan reveals the Broodlords, Q is like, oh, and he starts up a Thor, but that's all he can afford. One Thor, and it's obviously not here yet, and that means that these Broods are going to force these tanks to friendly fire, and that alone is going to cause chaos. Yeah, the Brood, there's just no answer to these Broodlords. It's a bit of a checkmate. Very smart, because Dog realized what the composition was at for Q. Realized that he actually had an opportunity to just build a few Broods, and it would slow the game down, but yeah, very smart call, because if this was a 6 Broods walking into Ghost Thor, and these Broods go down, this was extremely expensive to not get a lot done, so it had to be the right time to make this kind of a switch, and honestly, I think it was absolutely perfect from Dog. Very well read, the Neural, the Liberator, and we will have ourselves a Zerg army that is going to, yeah, win out. GG's, says Kira, and Dark wins it in 30 minutes to take us to a Game 3 of this best of 3 series. A stellar match coming up here for the moment in the... On the top right side, our red Zerg is going to be Dark, and the bottom left, our blue Terran is Kira. And it's Game 3 of this series that has been absolutely epic so far, quite frankly. It's been awesome. And, I'm hoping it stays that way as we enter this Game 3 right now. Dark and Kira. Just an awesome best of 3 up until now. We'll see what's going to happen. Our hatchery coming down then, getting that set up to begin with, getting that underway. And just seeing our DC getting a little bit of production up as well. Refinery dropping down, getting started. Have our Overlord coming across, moving around a little bit. Sorry guys, just typing something just somewhat quickly. As we get this on the way, there's an ultra late game with Dark versus some Terran. The Terran could force a draw by throwing a build into the corner because the map was mined out, and Dark had no mutas or corruptors. It was definitely Dark. That's exactly what happened with Mario Skull at that time, but that was a while ago. I think it was Cure. Look into it. I so many games between these guys lately. Couple queens coming up, few lings coming through. A Reaper already advancing across the map here from Cure, so heading to the upper right hand side. We'll have our factory coming in, command center about halfway, and that Reaper about to move into the natural expansion and ready to put some damage out. The Reaper shots, lings continue to take some hits, getting pushed back, lings turn back around onto the Reaper. Queen comes in, Reaper just taking another shot again, command center still building. Barracks will provide high ground vision. Let's get some damage done to the Ovi, so just poking that around, bullying it a little bit. I'll start getting a kill in that next few moments, and that's always a nice catch early in the game. Knock this Overlord down, Dark, supply blocked, has to build a new Overlord to get out of that, and that's always nice. Things coming around, Reaper setting up. And the Reaper just back around the right-hand side as our hatches. Producing a queen. So queen's coming through. Ling speed is building as well. The extra drones are on the way out also. Just seen our CC about to finish. Couple more SCVs in the Hellion coming through too. And the Banshee producing on the side of Kyo. So Banshee on the way up. Couple more SCVs are building. Orbital Command coming in. Cloaking coming up as well on that starport. Getting that beginning. As the factory moves off over toward a reactor. To get that reactor going, and we can crank out some Hellions. So many StarCraft tournaments later, you're here for it? Actually, StarCraft always has a lot of tournaments, don't we? There's a lot of SC2 events going on as of late. It's kind of non-stop. I guess lately especially, but I mean, over the last 2 or 3 years, it's pretty much always been, it's pretty much always been just kind of like non-stop action. It's always been hard to schedule things, and I mean, the current year is absolutely mapped out already, by the way. Like, as obviously, I see some of the calendars with stuff not announced and so on, but it's like, like there's barely a free weekend from now until like November or something. It is truly ridiculous, so, yeah. Pretty bonkers as our Hellions and our Reaper move over to the left side. Banshee and Cloaking, as I mentioned before, we'll see what this does. More Hellions than before. Obviously, the last couple of times around, the Hellion count has been kept quite low from Cure, and he's seen success with those Hellions diving by mineral lines too, but just in general has built less, so more emphasis on switching into the bio sooner. I'm just gonna knock through those rocks. Banshee will grab one creep tumor. We do have ourselves the few Marines with this push is actually able to come forward and start knocking down this Morphine Overseer. Hellbat's ready to go and full swing attack. I mean, very committed with the Hellbat Banshee. Let's see if Kyo can find some justifiable damage with all of this. It's Dark. You can see the Lings wanting to wrap around, but the Hellbats move very nicely, and the Lings are forced to clump up into the Hellbat still. Some of the Marines surviving through this, and this hatchery is genuinely in trouble. We have to put our transfusions onto it. Keep it alive for the moment. As Broodlings get picked on through, the Queen's still firing up a storm, and it is going to be enough. I mean, we kill a 4th base. Is that enough to be good here? The Banshees turn into the main base to get some drone damage. Worker count will be even coming out of this. And they'll just ping through the lair. The Queen's coming across. And the Banshee's just going to get pushed away. So 3 drones going down. Hatchery died. Resources lost-wise, this was favorable a little bit for Cure, but the counterattack could be scary. Do we have enough at home? Obviously, if you had a Hellbat attack that doesn't work out, and then you don't have units at home, you can take a lot of damage, and that's kind of starting to happen here. The Blings go towards the Marines. High ground Hellion actually puts some damage out at Hell, but we lose 4 SCVs. The reason there's not a lot at home is actually because we've got another round of attack coming over here. When Dark marches the Queens across, and I honestly just do not see this being an issue for him. I think Cure is not going to have a good time. It looks as though this entire plan for him is just not doing enough damage, and well, maybe it is actually, as I actually stopped to look at the supply and I see Dark at 96 supply. He has a lot of money, but supply blocks are currently the problem. He does not have an Overlord on the way. He just now started a couple, and he needs those Overlords to truly get himself out of this supply block right now, so that is a big issue for him right here. Big issue. Banshees onto the spawning pool, putting some damage out. We will have the Queen's moving over the right-hand side, trying to catch these Banshees. And Cure's supply is amazing. Just the consistency at which he just strikes with is truly quite remarkable, right? As you see a couple of Hellbats, Marines continuing through. These Lings continue to go down. The drones are going to pull in. The Marines will continue to stay stemmed up. A lot of drones dropping. Cure's just going to win this. Man, I'm genuinely very impressed because it didn't feel like he did that much at first, but it was enough to really knock Dark off from his expected endpoint in this early game. And even if Cure cleans up all these medevacs and these Marines, Dark's supply is absolutely gone. Banshees in the main going unanswered, and Cure is going to take the victory. Dark gets knocked out of the Kung Fu Cup early, and Cure will be the one to advance through today.